I honestly don't think I've ever been more excited to film a video. This is a topic that I've been wanting to talk about for such a long time. It's super important and definitely not talked about enough. So hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Steph if you're new here, and I make videos on sobriety, wellness, and self-love. For those of you who don't know, I quit drinking just 6 months after I turned 21, which is the legal age to drink in the United States, right in the middle of my junior year of college. And if you want to know why, I have a whole video on it, so I'll leave that down below and up here, whatever side it's on. So I graduated college last June, but I wanted to still create this video now because even though I didn't drink for the last year and a half of my college experience, I was still super immersed in the binge drinking culture because I lived with roommates who drank, and I lived next to people who drank, and I still lived in a college town. You know, colleges are starting back up again, it's late August, and since I was on the outskirts of college drinking culture, I really got to see it for what it is, which is toxic. The goal of this video is not to shit on anyone who drinks in college. Obviously, I drank for a lot of my college experience. I just mainly want to point out a lot of the things that have become so normalized in college drinking culture and show you that they are definitely not normal. And I know that it is so hard to realize how toxic something is or how harmful something is when you're in it and when you're in the thick of it. And that's why for so long I didn't even realize how toxic these certain activities were, because I was doing them myself and everyone around me was doing them, so it was just normal to me. Don't know how I forgot to mention this in the video, but it is not your fault if you see this drinking behavior as normal, especially when accounts like Total Frat Move and I'm Schmacked have built their business around the normalization of college binge drinking culture and have actually primed students from a young age that this is what to expect in college. So I actually asked you all on Instagram to send me any drinking behaviors that you think have become normalized in college, the most effed up things you've seen in college because of drinking, and I'm not kidding when I tell you I got the most responses on this story than any of my other question stories ever. So if you want to be a part of a video like this next time and give me your input, feel free to follow me on Instagram at StephMStill, because I always appreciate other people's viewpoints and I love talking about them. A lot of the responses that I got were from the United States, so I will be talking a lot about the United States binge drinking culture, but I'm sure it's, you know, not too different up in Canada, and I got a lot of responses from people in other countries, so I'll be sure to talk about those as well. So I'm interested to see in the comments what you guys think about the similarities between, you know, United States drinking culture and elsewhere. We have got a lot to cover today, so buckle up, grab a snack, and let's get into the things that have become normalized in college drinking culture. These are in no particular order. I tried to have somewhat of a flow through them, but we'll see if that worked. Number 1, drinking in the morning, and not just casual drinking, binge drinking in the morning. Can't even tell you how many times that I got drunk in college at 7, 8, 9 a.m. and it seems like a lot of you who responded to my story have done the same. I think a lot of this plays into, you know, football games being super early, and so of course you have to get drunk before a football game. So if the football game is at 8 a.m., you're getting drunk at 7, maybe even 6. And it's not just football games that people get drunk for in the morning. There's also day parties, there's philanthropy events, there's a lot of things, but drinking in the mornings has definitely become a very normalized. I even got a list of names that these parties are called where you drink in the morning. In Canada, apparently they're called pancake keggers. In the United States, kegs and eggs, muffins and mimosas. Speaking of mimosas, those were definitely super popular in my college town as a way to get drunk in the morning, and definitely elsewhere, judging by what you guys have said. You know, it's called brunch, but when there's more alcohol being consumed than food, I don't really know if I would call that brunch. Number 2, blacking out. It is normalized, it is accepted, and it is even expected for you to black out in college. You know, the terms blackout or back out, or I've even heard people say going into the night, let's black out tonight. Like, it's literally a goal for people to not remember their night. And there's so many reasons, I think, why blacking out is maybe so common. One of the reasons being the normalization of pre-gaming events. So you're drinking so much before the event even starts, whether that's a frat party, a concert, that it's super easy to black out because you're not keeping track of your drinks, and then you're gone. I think one of the things that it's most normalized in college to black out at is your 21st birthday. People do bar crawls, they put those signs around their neck where they have to check off different shots at different bars, and it's almost expected of you to black out on your 21st birthday. I've even heard people say, you know, if you didn't black out, did you really have a fun 21st? Because it's very cool and fun not to remember your night, right? Just the whole idea of people being so excited for their 21st because they are finally legally allowed to drink poison. And I'm not trying to like shit on anyone because I was totally in that boat. I lived for my 21st birthday. I was so excited for it leading up. I thought about it for months, and then, you know, you think about it for months only to black out and not remember the day. It doesn't make any sense. And you know, so many people experience the anxiety the next day over not remembering their night and not remembering what they said or what they did, and yet people still talk about blacking out like it's this fun and exciting thing, when I'm positive that probably every single person who has blacked out has experienced that anxiety. Just the fact that blacking out is so normalized is probably one of the most toxic things in college. Number 3, this one's kind of obvious, but binge drinking. And binge drinking can come in many forms in college. It can come in the form of drinking games, rage cage, beer pong, King's Cup. What's that other one where you bobsled. All of those games really promote and encourage binge drinking. It can come in the form of multiple day-long benders and people actually bragging about how long their bender has been, and not just days in a row of drinking moderately, it's days in a row of binge drinking and maybe even blacking out every single night. It can come in the form of really fucked up party themes. I'm sure we've all experienced some of those. You know, I think the most effed up one is friends in fifths or cuffs in fifths, the theme where you have to be handcuffed to someone and you cannot be unhandcuffed unless you finish an entire fifth of vodka or whatever alcohol you desire. An entire fifth of alcohol, it's 25.6 ounces. One standard shot of alcohol is 1.5 ounces. So in that fifth, there's about 17 shots of alcohol. And if you're splitting it between 2 people, that's like 8.5 shots per person, which the alcoholic in me is like 8.5 shots. That's not that much. But if you really think about it, that is a lot. Also, given the fact that the fifths are usually killed within the first hour or 2 of the party, that's 8.5 shots going in your body in a span of 1 to 2 hours. I went on Reddit to see what people were saying about this party theme, and this, what I assume is a freshman, is literally asking for strategies on how not to die at this party. That is messed up. Drinking straight from the bottle, you know, it's normal to not know how many shots you've had and to not keep track of your drinks. I know I never did. And how could we forget Edward 40 hands, where it is popular to tape 2 40-ounce bottles of beer to your hands and you can't take them off until you finish all 80 ounces of beer. That is insane. Number 4 is Greek life and hazing, which could be an entire video in itself, but I'll just keep it short for the sake of this. The amount of college freshmen or second years or people who are new to Greek life and are getting initiated that have died because of hazing is ungodly, and yet it happens so much that it has become normalized. At my own school, there was a kid named Carson Starkey who was drinking a lot at a fraternity event, became unresponsive. His fraternity brothers put him in the car and were about to drive him to the hospital, and then stopped because they were afraid of getting their fraternity in trouble, so they put him on a mattress and he never woke up. He ended up dying from acute alcohol poisoning, and his blood alcohol content was 0.4. It's just so messed up to me that fraternity members will put the reputation and their frat over the life of a human being. Relating to that is number 5, peer pressure. Peer pressure is rampant in the college drinking community, and that's why hazing is so toxic and dangerous, because you have all these upperclassmen telling you as a underclassman, as someone who just got to college, to drink this alcohol, and you're not going to say no because you're being peer pressured into it and it's expected of you. And this doesn't just happen in Greek life. I got a lot of you who said that you've been called lame for not drinking, that you've been peer pressured to go out even when you said you didn't want to. We like to think that we won't give in to peer pressure when we're in college, but it's harder than it sounds. Number 6 is going to the hospital because of your drinking. It is way too normalized to hear that someone went to the hospital and literally needed medical attention because of drinking. It's way too normalized to hear that people have gotten their stomach pumped. It's almost like a funny thing. Did you know that at any given time, 40% of all people in hospitals are there due to alcohol-related reasons? You know, at least these people had kind enough friends who cared about them enough to take them to the hospital because they knew something was wrong. But there's plenty of people who probably should have gone to the hospital who never did. Number 7 is throwing up due to your drinking. And this can be unintentional, you know, you're just too sick and you throw up. But a lot of the throwing up that I've seen is actually on purpose. Puke and rally and pulling trig are 2 very common phrases in the college drinking culture. A lot of people actually want to throw up because then they can go drink more. This can also relate a lot to how drinking alcohol can really fuel eating disorders. Maybe I'll make a different video on that in terms of like girls who drink so that they can throw up easier. But for now, let's just talk about number 8, which is drunkorexia. I'm not totally sure on the exact definition of drunkorexia because I've seen it describe a couple of different things, but basically skipping meals so that you can become drunk faster is really common, mainly among girls in college. Skipping meals so that you're not bloated when you're putting on your going out clothes, and skipping meals so that you have room for excess calories due to drinking. And obviously when we skip meals and we start drinking, you get drunk a lot faster and a lot easier, and that can lead to said blackouts. If you're gonna drink, eat a good meal before. It is one of the healthiest things that you can do to make the unhealthy habit of drinking a little more healthy. Number 9 is going to class drunk. A couple of people said this, which I didn't think was super common, but I guess it's more common than I thought. And on the flip side of that, skipping class because you're too hungover. I think that one's a lot more common. Number 11 is the drinking and hookup culture. Obviously, it is your body, it is your choice. You get to choose if you want to hook up with people or not. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm mainly talking about the expectation that people have when going into the night that they're gonna hook up with someone. It's become so normalized to go home with people you don't know and not even remember going home with people you don't know. This can intentionally or unintentionally fuel kind of their behavior throughout the night in a sense of encouraging the person that they want to hook up with to drink more so that they will go home with them. Obviously, this leads to number 12, which is the normalization of due to excessive drinking. This also could be an entire video in and of itself. According to the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse, a conservative estimate is that 50% of college women have been sexually assaulted, and 27% of those cases have been raped, and half of all of those involved alcohol consumption by the perpetrator, the victim, or both. So alcohol is just super rampant in these assault cases. Obviously doesn't account for all of them, but when you are drunk, you legally cannot give consent. And we're even taught this before we enter college, and we're taught this in college. We watch those modules in college, and yet it still happens so much, partly due to the hookup culture and the expectation that you can hook up with who you want in college. And what does not make this any better is that it is very normal for colleges not to take sexual assault or rape cases seriously. Girls are afraid to go to their school because they're afraid that they won't be taken seriously. So a lot of these cases obviously go unreported. And while it maybe at some point in time seemed like we were making progress, it feels like in this issue we always go 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and that is made apparent with the recent ruling by the Minnesota court that a rape charge does not apply if a woman is drunk voluntarily. I just can't believe that. That just blows my mind that that is actually made into a law. Number 13 is getting in trouble with the law, which I didn't really think of, but someone mentioned it in the answers, and now that I think about it, it is such a thing that's kind of normalized and often seen as funny, you know, when people get MIPs or drunk in publics. We're about ready to wrap up this video, but a couple other things that I thought were important to mention that people said. One, the use associated with drinking. I don't know if I'm gonna get demonetized by saying the name of, but there is one certain drink that is rampant on college campuses and is often paired with drinking. I'm sure you can infer what I'm talking about. Number two, something that I thought was interesting. Someone said that they are from France and that blacking out and heavily drinking is encouraged and alcohol is actually served on college campuses all day long, which I thought was mind-blowing. Number three, someone from Ireland said that the pre-game and pub culture is very popular there as well, so I'm sure it's super similar to the United States drinking culture. And number four, someone said one of the most effed up things they've seen is backpacking while people are too drunk, which really makes you think because backpacking is seen as like a very wholesome activity. And as a sober person, I honestly thought about taking a backpacking trip with my school, but this person said that people they've seen get too drunk during backpacking, and that's obviously super dangerous. You could get lost, you could get injured, and so it just makes you think about all the seemingly wholesome activities that college campuses have that have still been infiltrated by alcohol because it's so rampant in college. And yeah, that is about all of the things that I have to say and that you all shared with me about things that are normalized in the toxic college drinking culture. Again, being someone who was once in this culture and is now out of it and can see it for what it really is, I thought that it was my duty to kind of talk about this on my channel and share my thoughts on it. If you want to talk about any of these things more, I would love to talk more in the comments, so feel free to leave a comment and I will respond to you there and we can start a little discussion. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I truly appreciate every single view that I get on my channel. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to me if you want to see more videos from me, and I will see you in the next video. Pancake keggers.